Hi guys, and welcome to the first episode of Wetherz' weekly review of StocksFC. We're just going to be looking at everything StocksFC, what's happened in the last week, and what's going forward into the next week. Not much news this week, so we're just going to be focusing on the IPOs. Hopefully I'll be able to bring this show to you every week. So yeah, let's get into it. It's not very planned. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully you find a few things that is informative on this show. But yeah, anyway, it's been a while since I've recorded a video, so I'm sort of all over the place at the moment. But anyway, so Zinchenko sold 10,062 stocks last week, which was a little bit less than what I was expecting. I thought he'd be in line with Ben White because, you know, both fullbacks for Arsenal. And Zinchenko has that as Ukraine. He's more likely to play for Ukraine than Ben White is for England, as the right back situation is absolutely locked out in England. And he could play centre-half a few times, but centre-half's not as good position as a fullback in StocksFC. And Zinchenko actually plays attacking centre-mid for Ukraine the majority of the time, or at least he was when I was following in his early part of the career. I believe he's still doing that. So yeah, he only sold 10,062, which is less than what I was expecting. So for me, very happy with that. I bought 50 because I wanted him anyway. And then I saw the supply and I was like, I've got to get some more. So we managed to get another 20, so we're up to 70. But yeah, I think that's a good little buy. Probably will be looking to get a few more in, depending how it goes. He isn't an assist or goal machine merchant, really, but he will get, in play. He will, when I say in play, I mean he will get key passes, which then also he will at times get goals and assists. For me, as well as being team of the week, just because he plays for Arsenal, he's got a shot. If Arsenal win and get a clean sheet, he's very likely to get team of the week whilst we have such a limited player pool. And I always think I'm going to favour fullbacks for scoring points on the matrix compared to centre-halves. So for me, yeah, it's a good supply. Less than what we were expecting. It does seem like a few people are not buying at IPO anymore. I think that's because obviously you had the oversupply issue with Watkins and Alvarez, and their price hasn't increased. And people are being a little bit more selective with what they're buying now. But yeah, for me, I picked up 70 of him. Really, really like him on the whole. And for me, that was a decent IPO for them to pick. Surprised he didn't sell better, but it is what it is. The next two are a little bit more confusing. I'm not quite sure why StocksFC picked to IPO Gusto at this point in time. Obviously, Reece James is literally just coming back from injury, and Gusto is likely to be a bench player now, as well as being young, so there's no rush to IPO him because there's so many other players that they could have IPO'd instead. And also Chelsea are just in a terrible vein of form, so maybe do a team that's overachieving. I don't know. That's what I would have been looking at for maximising it from StocksFC point of view. But as a trader point of view, someone who can buy an asset that people don't want and is young and has huge potential, I absolutely love Gusto. I picked up 100 of him, as you can see there, 100. The supply, 4,142. I believe that there's been no share burn on him so far, so no trades have taken place after that. For me, as a long-term buy, youngster, I think this is a great buy. Very happy to hold him. Obviously, he's got Reece James in front of him, and he's probably not going to be winning Team of the Week now very often at all. It was such a strange time to IPO. But yeah, for me, it is an expensive price, but in terms of longevity, I believe in the platform long term, and I believe that Gusto is a very good young attacking fullback. So he does tick the boxes. He's just not playing now, which is going to be unfortunate. And he has Reece James, who, in my opinion, is probably the best right back in the world in terms of all round what he can do. I'm sure people will disagree with that, but just from my point of view, when he's fit and does what he does. So it's going to be very hard for Gusto to at least take his spot. I think most people will agree with that. But yeah, I was happy with that as a purchase. And by StocksFC IPOing these players that are who are out of form and not favourable. They're not maximising the IPOs and not maximising the reward pots, but they are creating opportunities for people who are going to be bold enough to take them. Now, don't get me wrong, Gusto could completely flop, but I like it. Same with Richarlison. I think he's a very good player. He was very good at Everton. Obviously, he was Brazil's starting striker for the majority of his, sort of senior career at a certain age, maybe 21 onwards. But he's just been in terrible form. So it's a very surprising IPO, especially with all the attacking options that Tottenham have already had IPO'd. If you include like Maddison in there, even though he's a midfielder, but you know what I mean, like him, Son, Kulusevski. Kulusevski's also a midfielder on the platform. I just thought it was a bit strange to IPO him. I'd be looking, with my Stocks FC, if I was the CEO, I'd be looking to maximise the sale. And maybe this isn't the best time to IPO Richarlison. Maybe it is. Maybe he's going to go to Saudi in January. I don't know. But yeah, for me, they could have picked a better time to IPO him. But for me, being able to pick him up when he's only going to sell 8,482 is much better than when he's, being him at his best, like for example when he was at Everton, or he's been transferred for over 35 million twice in his career. He could have easily sold twice as many if he was at a good point in his career. He isn't, so he sold less. He's still young, relatively young. I'm not sure what his age is, but he's definitely still on the young side. So I picked up 60. Happy with that. Even if he doesn't perform very well, just being an attacker, you can get those in plays with the key passes, the goals, and the assists, and then rotate him, whether it's completely selling him and then putting your funds into someone else and then selling that other player and then buying back into him at some point just to refresh naturally through trading, or actually just refresh the players to buy the shares back yourself. For me, you can make money back doing that very easily with a player like Richarlison, with any attacker really. So yeah, I'm more than happy to hold 60 of him, even if he is in a bad stage of his career. If he does get to where he should be, or has been in the past, he's going to go up nicely. Same with Gusto, you know what I mean? When they get to a starting stage, when they get to a better point in their career, when they're not at their sort of lowest in a way. Gusto on the bench behind Reece James, not a great situation. Richarlison in probably the worst form of his career at the moment at Tottenham. Don't get me wrong, Tottenham are winning, but Richarlison's just not that guy at the moment. So yeah, disappointing in terms of sales for the last week's IPOs, but the opportunity that they give, I actually quite like. Moving on to this week's IPOs. So Luis Diaz is obviously the standout. It is a little bit unfortunate that they've decided to IPO him during the whole kidnapping fiasco. So his mother has been found, but his dad is still, I believe, kidnapped. So hopefully that sort of gets resolved, because he missed the weekend because of it. And obviously we want this to be resolved for the human sake and the moral sake rather than for the footballing sake. But, in terms of IPO sales, hopefully he gets back on the pitch and everyone else is safe and sound, which I think is a great IPO in general. He's a good age to IPO from Stocks FC point of view. He's in his coming into his prime, and we haven't got many attacking Liverpool players. McAllister playing defensive mid. Curtis Jones is a bit raw at the moment, and Salah's obviously on the platform already. So for me, he's sort of the perfect Liverpool attacker to add on to the platform next. Hopefully he sells very well. We'll see how it goes. People was talking about 20,000 being sold, 24,000 being the high end. I'd be very happy, at 30,000 supply. I just think he's a good player for the coming years. Yeah. So I've already bought 50, and I'll probably look to get a few more, to be honest with you. Depends where the supply ends up at, or looks like it's going to end up at. This is next. Should be attacker, really. He's down as a midfielder, which is a bit odd, because to me, I know him as an out-and-out striker. I know he's a bit of a pace merchant, but yeah, once again, nice little IPO, to be honest. Decent priced at 52p. So hopefully he should sell a few. Starts for Brentford, and looks like Tony's going to leave in January, so should keep his place, to be honest. He's been scoring quite a few, he's doing all right this season. Not the best Brentford, and he's not the best player himself, but decent. So I quite like that IPO, not a bad one. And then you have Dan Burn, who is very, very cheap. And Newcastle, they're in Europe. They're likely to be in Europe in the future as well. So to get a player who plays for I don't know where you'd put Newcastle, but they are sort of, we'll say top half team, but they're likely to be in the top 6 and better probably in reality, especially with the state of Chelsea and Manchester United at the moment. To get a player who plays for a good team at that price, it's good pricing to be fair. So I think he'll sell quite well as well. So hopefully we should have a good week of sales and hopefully bump up the reward pots. I might as well show the reward pots. This isn't something that I thought of before, but here we go. Hopefully they load. So this is where they are at the moment. This is what day is it? This is the Tuesday before the rewards have been taken out of the pots. So it's 76,000, which is 51 ETH for the team of the week. Team of the month's jumped up nicely. It's now 48,500, which is 32 ETH. Team of the season, 21,000, 14.7 ETH. And we have the in-play wallet, which is up 72,500, which is 49 ETH, which is lovely. And then just a quick look at the staking pot. We're up to 20 ETH, so we are 12 ETH away from our second validator node, which is the equivalent of 30,000, which doesn't really matter. So we've got one node already. Hopefully we'll get a second going sooner rather than later. And I think if Lewis Deers sells as well as he could, we'll get this, relatively quick, because the last 3 weeks have been slow. We haven't had the best sales recently of IPOs. Don't know whether I mentioned it in this video or a pre-recording of me trying to record this video whilst absolutely stuttering all over the place and re-recording. But Alvarez oversold, Watkins oversold. It was very hard. I think quite a few people got put off by the IPOs. So hopefully this week, sort of changing the momentum a little bit, we get a few high sales and we get closer to that second validator node. Because at the moment, having one, it's yielded £132, which we haven't actually seen into the raw pots. We've got to sort of wait until we have 12 go in, and then I think Alex is going to hopefully empty out one a month basically. So the sooner we get to 12, the better. And to be honest, staking is going to start in a year's time before we start reaping the rewards from it. At least that's my sort of understanding of the plan from StocksFC. But yeah, that's everything. Put in the comments if you've got anything to say. You think my opinions are great, bad, whatever. Get in the comments. I'd love to hear your opinion. Anyway, guys, hope you have enjoyed the video. And cheers. See ya.